Hello, Bill Emmett here with another video for EAA Chapter 132 in Elkhart. We had planned on doing a fly-in, drive-in, ride-in show of airplanes, fancy cars, and motorcycles, trucks, and so on. We can do. Hopefully the virus will be long gone by next year and we will be able to get back to it. In the meantime, two of our members did want to show off their rides, so we're gonna, if they won't let you guys come on down and see the show, then we'll take the show to you. Let's take a look. Dick, you want to tell us about your car?
Well, you're looking at 12 years of work. It did it all myself, except for the final paint. Final paint was shot professionally, but it's got it's a street rod now. Well, what it is.
Okay.
It's got a 302 SV Ford in it. It's got a automatic transmission in it. It's got a Currie rear end in it. It's got a 325 horse, is on the engine, and got an all new floor in it. As you can see, new wheels, disc brakes all around. It's a real nice car.
Okay, and what was it originally?
Originally, strictly a 1940 Ford.
Okay.
But when I got it home, I realized that it was in such a bad shape that I had to take it all apart. There wasn't a bolt left on it, and I took the body up to Chicago and had it chemically dipped to get rid of everything. And it came back without a floor or a firewall, so then I had to rebuild everything. So, 12 years.
And why did you pick that car? With all the cars out there?
Long story. My first car I ever had was a 36 Ford in high school, and a 41 Ford all custom. And I really was looking for a 41 when I found this one. But when I found this one, everybody likes a 40, so I took it and started in on it then.
Okay, Paul, you want to tell us about your airplane?
This is Fisher Flying Products Dakota Hawk. It's a plans-built airplane. Fisher Flying has mostly ultralight aircraft, a 202, a 303. They have a two-place Koala, a little biplane called a Celebrity. But this was their first two-place kind of light sport category airplane. There's all kinds of different engines that people put on this, from the Rotax 503 on up to the 912, which is what this has. And also a lot of people are flying with the Continental 85 horse. I have the Rotax 912S in this, the 100 horsepower. This airplane was built from plans. It's an all-wood airplane. One of the unique things about building experimental is that if you get a sound airplane to work with, cosmetically you can do what you want. So I did make some changes on this. There was some fiberglass work, the cowl and the wingtips, and a few things like that I added. I didn't make any real changes to the structure of the airplane, but just added some touches that made it my own.
And what is special about the Dakota Hawk?
Well, honestly, when in looking for an airplane, this was not one of the airplanes on the list. I looked at Kit Fox's and the Rans S6 and S7, and some of those other airplanes. They're quite a bit more pricey to build, a little bit easier to build them from the kits. But I have a lot of experience with radio control modeling since I was just a little kid. I've been involved with some kit builds. I built a Kit Fox with an EAA chapter, restored a Piper Cub, and also built a Kolb Mark III Extra. So I felt like I had the experience and the comfort level to do this airplane. The wood structure of it is very similar to the giant scale RC aircraft that are available. And in choosing the airplane, it was something that kind of fell in my lap. Somebody had started the project. And they pretty much gave it to me. As with all, that proverbial good deal that you get, I had to pretty much rebuild everything that was started. At least I had all the hardware, the canopy or the windshield, and the fuel tanks. So from there on, it was pretty easy to complete.
So what's the range on that?
Well, this airplane, with the engine that I have on it, and the fuel burn is about 4.5 gallons an hour. It has a 10-gallon tank in the front, and it has I added 2 wing tanks that are 7 gallons apiece. So it's further than I can go without stopping to use the restroom, but I would say about 400 miles.
Cool. And it takes off in a fairly short.
Yeah, I haven't measured it out. I was trying to use the stripes on the runway to figure it out, and it's about 300 feet with just by myself in it. Initial climb is about 1,200 feet per minute, and it's cruising a little faster than I expected. Anywhere between 100 and 110 miles an hour at 5,300 RPM. That's normal for these engines. That scares a lot of people that fly Lycomings and Continentals, but that's where it really likes to sit, is in the upper 5,000 range.
So is there a back seat there?
No, it's a club suit, but I built my own rear seat for grandkids.
Ah,
It really didn't come with a back seat in it. Club coupe, they call them back then.
now if we could just figure out how to harness the power that grandchildren have over us.
Yeah. Now they're all too big for it anyway now.
Ah,
Get it?
got it.
Yeah, we it's a 302 SVO, which is a special vehicle order, 325 horse, and connected with the automatic overdrive transmission. I can get it all the way up to about 14 miles to the gallon. But car speed, I don't know. I got it up to 95 once just to see what it felt like. It had a lot left.
Really?
A lot left. So I've built them before, but this one, the last one I built. I'll put this one in the archives for myself.
Oh, there you
Any other questions or whatever?
go. Is there anything else special about this?
Well, it's all, well, like I said, it's completely tore down. It's a complete restore. And there wasn't a bolt or nut left on it. And every one that was put back on it is stainless steel. So the car is right. It's built right. And the paint, I couldn't find the color I wanted. I wanted a white pearl. So I actually had to manufacture and build it, mix it myself, so that I could get the color I wanted. And then I had it professionally painted with shot. But when he shot it, he said, "Don't have an accident. He'll never match it."
All right, thank
Bill,
you.
other than that, it's just a great piece of machinery.
Thank you. So if you want to go someplace, it's the old-fashioned chart.
Pretty much, yeah. This instrument panel is kind of an eclectic mix of old and new.
Okay.
I have, a lot of basic steam gauges, but I do have a EIS, engine information system, and I do have an attitude gyro and an angle of attack indicator. But it is pretty much, for me, is VFR flight. The airplane's just about ideal for myself and my wife and an overnight bag to go somewhere. But beyond that, I don't really have any plans to take it to Florida or anywhere like that. So I'm, right now going through the flight test cards, and I've got 16 hours on it, and I've just started doing load testing or adding weight to the airplane beside myself and fuel. So right at the moment, I've just added up to 90 pounds, and each time I go out and I do climbs and glides and stalls to see how it's doing with the weight. And so far, there hasn't really been any difference from myself to the extra 90 pounds in it. So things are going pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And how is she in a stall?
Well, right at the moment, it won't actually do a full stall. It'll start to buff it, and I get the elevator or the stick all the way back to my stomach. and it just kind of mushes and starts to lose altitude, but the nose stays up and it doesn't have any tendency to break. It does the same thing in power on stall. That's a little more unnerving with the power that it has because the nose gets very vertical, but it still just starts to mush and it doesn't actually break. I'm sure you could make it, break, but it'd be nice to know what it feels like when it actually does. But right at the moment, it just kind of mushes.
So almost vertical, is it aerobatic qualified or?
No, it's not.
No.
It is. The wing has been stress tested by the factory to 5.6 positive Gs and 2.2 negative Gs, but it does not. I suppose that it probably could do some mild aerobatics, but that's not something that I'm ready to find out right now.
Right. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else you'd like to tell us about this plane?
Well, like I kind of mentioned before, the unique thing for me about experimental is that you can do your own touches. So, the key big changes were the cowling that I molded kind of specifically to suit my engine, which was almost a 2-year project from making the plug to doing the fiberglass work. And then also I molded wingtips for it. The original design just had a very, very shallow tip bow. And I didn't like the way that it looked with the fabric pulled to it, so I kind of created my own wingtips. With airplanes at this kind of cruise speed, the design of the tip really doesn't have that much effect on flight. It was just more about aesthetics. Very easy airplane to build, both kind of a blessing and a curse. The landing gear are completely bolted together. There's no welding. Makes it very easy to do, but I kind of compare it to an erector set back when you were a kid where you bolt everything together. So it remains to be seen how that's going to hold up over time, but it was very easy to put together. It has a Cub style tail wheel, which the factory leaf spring that came with the kits over time of just being in construction, the leaf spring wasn't heat treated and it started to flatten out, so I changed it over to Cub leaf springs, and it has a Matco tail wheel. One other big change that I did make on the tail, they used 3/8 aluminum tubing for tail brace, and I saw some instances where they had some cracking because they actually flatten the end of the tube and drill it and put a bolt through it. So I changed to flying wires. They're kind of expensive, but the company I got these from, Flying Wires in New Zealand, I was talking to the guy and told him what I wanted. And about a week later, he called me and said if I did him a favor, that he would make me a deal on the flying wires. Well, he had a Beech 18 at an airport in California. He lived in New Zealand, but he used that airplane when he was here in the States, and he asked if I would pay his ramp fee, that he would just take care of the flying wires for that cost. So I called that airport to make sure that he had a plane there, and I sent a check for the ramp fee, and a week later I had my flying wires from New Zealand, so I'm really excited about that.
All right. Anything else special about this?
Well, for me, everything is special. When I set out to get this airplane, my wife kind of had a little bit of a decision in it. She wanted a side-by-side airplane. That makes the cockpit kind of tight for this size of an airplane. I probably would have enjoyed a tandem. There's a little bit more room and a little bit more visibility, but it's I think it's 36 inches across the shoulders, which is probably about like the early model Cessnas and some of those older airplanes. But I think it'll work out just fine for my wife and I for flying. So I really enjoy building it. It's about as, I like to fly, but I would do it again if I had the opportunity. So it's probably not my last experiment.
Thank you, Paul. And blue skies, tailwinds.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Two very interesting gentlemen, members of EAA Chapter 132, with a very cool-looking 1940 Ford and a very pretty Dakota Hawk. So stay tuned. Next week we'll come up with something else. Good to see you back.